Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Frankie Kington, known as a wise entrepreneur, and I'm back with my dear friend Quincey Adams. And it's our second YouTube video. And we're going to have our own YouTube station where we do homegrown foods. And I'm going to show you from the last time we was on here with the lovely Quincey how my onions and my lettuces are growing. And Quincy's going to talk it through me as well. We're going to talk about some more homegrown foods. So before I start, let me show you my onions and I'll show you my lettuce and I'll show you where I'm up to. So last week we had an onion and I put it in an inch of water, say 2 inches of water, and I put my onion in there because I wanted the onions, the roots to grow from the onions, and they've actually done that. Yeah. So now my roots have grown from the onions. I now have my onions in my plant pot and in my container. So they're ready to grow now. So I'm going to water them every day with a couple of ounces of water. And I'm going to watch that onion grow with the green leaves coming out of it. So I'm really looking forward to that onion to grow and to seeing it next week where we can show you how it's grown. This is my lettuce, but this lettuce is here in my little container. The lettuce is okay, but the roots still need a little bit of nurturing. So we're going to leave that for another week. And me and Quinn's are going to keep an eye on that. And then we'll show you how that's grown. And the idea is that this lettuce and this onion grows from the plant pot and from the soil. So it grows into a great plant. Okay? So I'm very happy with that. First time I've ever done that, and I'm a bit embarrassed considering my age. But Quincey now is going to show you how we're going to progress. If we need to talk about more food, what you'd like to grow and you'd like to nurture, this is what we're here for. We're here to help you. So Quincey Adams, my dear friend, how are you today? And tell us about all your expertise of gardening and growing foods.
Thanks, Frankie. I'm great. I have actually been doing a lot of kitchen scrap gardening myself in the wintertime when there's less stuff growing outside. I miss gardening. So I like to grow from scraps inside in the winter. So that way I can always have something fresh and something that I grew, but I don't have to worry as much about like the weather and the lack of pollinators. So like indoor gardening in the wintertime with kitchen scraps is like my favorite thing to do. And I actually have a couple of examples down here because I've been doing these on my gardening class. So this is the carrot. So this is the top of the carrot that I've been growing. It's got roots on it. Wow. And this is ready to plant. So this has been about a week. The tops of carrots are edible. Wow. And then I've also got some spring onions. I do more spring onions than bulb onions because they're easier. So these have all got roots on them. And I started these about a week ago. And these grow faster, and I like to do spring onions versus regular onions. And I do have lettuce. This lettuce is looking sad, but it's got roots now, and I can plant it. You can barely see the roots. What you will also get is some nubs on the side of the stub, and that's how you can tell that it's still growing. So in the water, it'll develop roots, but you really want it to, like, it needs roots to be able to get nutrition from the soil. You can't grow a plant indefinitely in just water. It needs healthy soil in order to keep on growing. So that's the goal. You want to get it ready for the soil and then plant it in the soil so you can get more growth out of it.
That's great, because when I looked at your lettuce, I realized that the roots of your lettuce had developed a lot more than the roots of my lettuce. So thank you for showing me that, Quincey. I see how it looks now, the actual lettuce and the growth of the lettuce. So Quincey, does it make a difference to homegrown foods what time you grow them, whether it's in the summer or whether it's in the winter? Is it anything what you tips you could point out to help the foods grow better?
Actually, most vegetables have a season when they do best. Some of them have 2 seasons. So things like carrots and onions and spring onions and lettuce, they do well in the spring and the fall. And since we're not growing them outside, you can fudge it a little bit with being inside because the conditions are more static. But generally, if you're planting these outside, you would want to do them in the spring and the fall. They actually like cooler weather. They don't need to be hot, and they don't need to be pollinated. So those are perfect plants to do inside and also do at the very beginning of the growing season, at the very end of the growing season, because there's less pollinators available.
Right. So is that where the greenhouse comes into it? I'd call it the greenhouse effect. Is that where the greenhouse comes into it, Quincey, to help the plants get what they need?
You can do a lot of stuff in a greenhouse. I actually have a couple of greenhouses I'm going to be growing in. I'll show them over the winter because I'm going to be doing more out there. But so like as long as you're keeping them like above freezing, which is going to be 32 degrees over here and 0 degrees over there, then a lot of plants are going to do pretty well. And the spring and fall type plants. So there's are going to be like your root crops and all of your brassicas. They do well in cold weather, including lettuce too. So they make an easier transition inside because they don't need as much heat. They just need to not freeze.
That's great. Thanks for that information, Quincey. I'm really looking forward. Yeah, I know that I'm growing my lettuces now and growing my onions, but I'm really looking forward now to explore more about homegrown foods. I'm probably obviously eating homegrown foods. It may get this weight off me, yeah, because I've put on a little bit of weight and I know that I need to lose weight. So any more tips and information you can give us on homegrown foods? I know I've got a foil, a 4 container, I've got plant pots, I've got soil. Anything more to add, or is that just it, Quincey?
If you're just doing kitchen scrap gardening over the winter, that's plenty. If you're doing it for a longer period of time, if you were going to do it outside, you would start to look at more things. But these are simple things to grow. And really the plants want to grow. So as long as you're getting your scraps when they're as fresh as possible, the likelihood that they're going to continue to grow is very high. And that's really what you want. You just want to take like the best out of a bad situation and get a little bit more out of it. It's not going to be a huge prolific amount, but if you save all of your scraps over the winter, then you can have a continuous harvest of something. And honestly, like if you just add some vegetables to every meal, if you're not already eating vegetables with every meal, that's enough to like improve your health. I'm not a doctor, but just add vegetables to every meal.
That's fantastic, Quincey. So it's really important that we get the roots, and the roots need to be growing. Do we have bad vegetables? Do we have vegetables what can make us ill? Has there been any cases where people are really ill from vegetables, or it can cause a lot of problems?
Well, I mean, if vegetables have been contaminated, I'm not sure how often you guys have this over in the UK, but over here we have food recalls on produce because they were contaminated with like salmonella or listeria, like different pathogens. So it's actually been happening a lot, which is another reason why I was kind of like, oh, I really want to step up my game with growing my own food, because you can't always trust what you get at the grocery store. And then depending on different health conditions you have, you may want to stay away from starchier vegetables like white potatoes or corn, or if you have certain kinds of arthritis, then you might want to make sure that if you're going to eat anything in the nightshade family, that you cook it first, because that reduces the reaction that you can have to it. Some people have a reaction to nightshades, but that's not, I've looked into it. It's not, it's mostly anecdotal evidence for that. So some people are going to have a reaction, some people are not. If you cook them, you're likely to have less of a reaction. That's what they recommended on the websites that I looked at. So, I mean, there are some things, like just because it grows in the ground doesn't mean that it's healthy, but there's more things that are healthy than not.
And I'm sure, Quincey, like me now getting to homegrown foods, I'm sure that if you keep doing it, you learn to spot the bad vegetables from the good vegetables. And now everyone's got to wash their hands through this pandemic. So washing your hands and keep yourself clean. I'm sure then, Quincey, vegetables that you get have got to be clean. You've got to wash them and make sure they're clean. Would you agree?
Yes. Yes. So if you're doing it on a small scale, keeping bugs off is a lot easier because it doesn't matter if you're growing inside or outside, there's gonna be bugs. So you just have to watch out for that. There could be fungus, there could be mold. A lot of times if you just scrape it off, everything will keep on growing fine. So just on a small scale, those things are very easy to deal with. You want to make sure that you're not using, like, there's different kinds of additives that you can get that need to be, like, if you're using like composted manure on a bigger scale, you need to make sure that it's been fully composted so it's safe to use on your vegetables. But that's something that you don't need to worry about on a small scale with kitchen scraps. Just buy the best soil that you can because the soil is going to provide the nutrients to your plants, and just keep everything clean. Don't like wash chicken near your kitchen scraps because then you're going to contaminate your food. So just keep it a little bit separate, keep it clean. And with kitchen scraps, it's very easy to do.
Manure, did you say manure then, Quincey?
Yes.
Horse manure?
Yes. Yes.
Is that good for you?
If you compost it and it's been fully aged, it's good for your garden.
Wow, and it's not good for you as a person, but good for the garden.
Right.
It sounds horrible,
well,
doesn't
you have
it?
to make sure that it's been, like, you're basically, you have to cook it. That's how, like, when you're composting it, you're cooking it.
Wow. I'm learning every day then.
That's a little bit more advanced. That's a little bit more advanced. But
and we're not at that level yet.
Yeah, we're I mean, I do that. I actually have gone up to a horse farm and collected horse manure that was composted down and brought it back to my garden. But that's an advanced thing. You don't need to worry about that.
And you can't eat from that, you said, Quincey, yeah?
Yes, it has to be composted though.
I understand it's got to be done properly.
Yes. Yes,
and
that's one of the reasons why vegetables get contaminated, because they're too close to animals, and the runoff from like animal waste get into the garden, or they're reusing the water when they pre-wash it, and that's where the contamination comes from.
Wow. Thanks for that information, Quincey. So, Quincey, great to have you again on our YouTube session. This is our second one we've done. So we're going to do loads more because we're going to develop our channels on homegrown foods because we know the importance of it. Quincey, let people know who you are because people need to know who you are.
My name is Quincey Adams. My channel is Lilies and Tomatoes. You can find me on Instagram at Lilies and Tomatoes. My blog is Lilies and Tomatoes. I'm actually doing a giveaway on my blog right now, so check it out. It's liliesandtomatoes.com. So LILIEANDTOMATOES.com. Lilies and Tomatoes. And you can find me on YouTube. If you have any questions, just post it in the comments and I'll get back to you as soon as I can.
That's great, Quincey. Thank you very much. You know me, Frankie Kington. Yeah. I'm going to have a new YouTube channel and I'm going to call it Frankie's Healthy Homegrown Foods. So look out for that channel, please. I'm going to put them on there and you're going to see loads of foods what Frankie's hopefully going to grow. Healthy and edible so that we can all share. And maybe I can teach you something you can learn from me and Quincey. So Quincey, I really appreciate you. Once again for coming on our YouTube, our second channel, what we've done now. Please, guys, leave us a comment below. Any questions about homegrown foods, we'd love to hear from you. Yeah. Hit that notification bell, leave me a comment, subscribe to my channel. And guys and girls and ladies and gentlemen, I look forward to seeing you next week on our next YouTube. Take care. My warmest wishes. Thanks again, Quincey, for coming on. Thank you, and bye-bye now. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.